Hey everyone, today I'm going to tell you about a shocking tragedy that rocked Australia, a dark secret hidden on the Wang Wang farm. A woman's naked body lay motionless on the green grass, her body covered in wounds, blood staining the entire area. But what's even more horrifying is the wide-open eyes of the victim, reflecting sheer terror and utter despair in her final moments. When police arrived at the scene, even the most experienced officers had to turn away, unable to look directly at the gruesome sight. The case was described by judges at the time as one of the most brutal and savage murders in Australian history. Public outrage grew, with crowds gathering outside the courthouse, demanding the death penalty be reinstated to punish these inhumane monsters. So, what happened next? Let's rewind time together back to 1986 to uncover the tragedy that shook Australia. Blacktown is a town located in the northeast of New South Wales, Australia. It's known for its mild climate and beautiful scenery, making it a perfect spot for family vacations. It's a culturally rich city, with residents from all over the world speaking over 60 languages, creating a truly diverse community. However, from the 1980s to the 1990s, Blacktown emerged as a crime hotspot. Gangs roamed the streets, dealing drugs, and violence was a constant threat, turning it into an area under heavy police scrutiny. The story we're diving into today is one of the most notorious cases from Blacktown's dark period. The main character is Anita Cobby, a 26-year-old nurse with a vibrant personality, a beautiful face, a fit figure, and a former local beauty pageant winner. At the time, Anita was working at Westmead Hospital. On May 2nd, 1986, an ordinary day, Anita, who was always punctual, didn't show up for her shift. Her phone was unreachable, and her best friend and colleague, Lynn, grew worried. She called Anita's parents, only to learn that Anita hadn't come home the previous night. Lynn recalled that the day before, after work at 3:30 p.m., she and Anita had gone with friends to a nearby restaurant. They chatted, laughed, and drank 2 bottles of white wine, leaving around 8 p.m. Anita's home in Blacktown was far from the city center, so Lynn drove her to Sydney Central Station to catch the 9:12 p.m. train. Upon arriving in Blacktown, Anita was supposed to call her dad from a payphone so he could pick her up. But when Lynn checked with Anita's family, she discovered Anita never called and hadn't returned home. Her father, Mr. Lynch, was frantic. At first, he thought she might have stayed at a friend's after the late night out, but now she was completely missing. Mr. Lynch contacted friends, searching Blacktown and Sydney, but found no trace of her. Finally, at 6:30 p.m., he reported her missing. Police launched a search, but Anita seemed to have vanished without a single clue. Based on past cases of missing women, police suspected someone she knew might be involved, so they began investigating her social connections and background for leads. Anita was born on November 2nd, 1959, in Blacktown. Her father, Mr. Lynch, was a graphic designer in the military, and her mother was a skilled nurse. She grew up with her younger sister, both excelling in school and loving sports, especially surfing. Anita was always the center of attention, a cute kid who grew into a stunning woman with harmonious features and a tall, graceful figure, rivaling any Hollywood star. In 1979, she won a regional beauty pageant, and with her looks and talent, she could have easily entered showbiz. But Anita had her own plans. She didn't want to rely on her looks and instead chose a meaningful path, following her mother into nursing at Westmead Hospital. There, she met her boyfriend John, born in 1956, 3 years older than her. John was handsome, with striking blue eyes, golden hair, and a lively, funny personality, always the life of the party. His background was varied. He'd worked odd jobs like laundry, dishwashing, and security, saving up to travel and surf, living a carefree life. Eventually, ready to settle down, he enrolled in nursing training at Westmead, where he met Anita. Smitten by her beauty, he felt insecure and only admired her from afar at first. But fate had other plans. Anita noticed his cheerful vibe and was drawn to his humor. She made the first move, and their first date at a Lebanese restaurant near the hospital sparked a connection. Soon they were dating regularly, and their love blossomed quickly. After over a year, John proposed, and Anita said yes without hesitation. On May 27, 1982, the talented and gorgeous couple tied the knot, blessed by friends and family who called them a perfect match. Their marriage was sweet and happy, though Anita suffered a miscarriage. They didn't dwell on the pain, instead holding on to hope, adopting 2 adorable dogs, enjoying dinners, live music, and even buying a small boat for future trips. In 1984, through a friend's recommendation, John started training horses. A year later, he hit the jackpot, winning 10,000 Australian dollars, about $170,000 in today's money, on a horse race. With this windfall, they fulfilled their dream of a world trip, enjoying a blissful time. In 1985, after spending it all, they returned to a quieter life. But tensions soon arose. John wanted stability, a house, and kids, while Anita, in her mid-20s, felt her life was just beginning, with dreams of further studies, learning Spanish, and traveling. Their differences grew, leading to constant arguments, and by early 1986, they decided to separate. Anita moved back to Blacktown with her parents, while John returned to his family's home. But after some reflection, they agreed to meet and talk things out. On May 1, 1986, they reunited, listening and understanding each other better, deciding to work on their future with compromise. That night, Anita went to John's for dinner to discuss buying a house, even planning to attend his sister's birthday party days later. But just as things seemed to improve, Anita vanished mysteriously. Oddly, John's first move wasn't to search, but to buy a bottle of whiskey to bring to his in-laws. Mr. Lynch, already upset with John after the separation, was furious seeing him show up with alcohol while his daughter was missing. He unleashed a torrent of anger, and John left silently to sleep it off. Many might think, case closed. He's obviously the killer. Police suspected John, too, making him their prime suspect and bringing him in for questioning. But then, a shocking report turned the investigation upside down. At Prospect, a grassy field south of Blacktown, a farmer noticed his dairy cows gathered around something, refusing to move. Curious, he approached and saw a horrifying sight: a naked woman's body, face down, covered in blood, her skin barely intact. Shaken, the farmer called the police. A large team arrived, and after a preliminary examination, they found multiple wounds and signs of assault. Most haunting were her wide-open eyes, still holding the despair of her final moments. The coroner estimated her throat was slashed, and death took about 2 minutes, enough time to feel hellish torment. The only reported missing woman locally was Anita, so police removed a gold ring from the body for family identification. John collapsed, sobbing. It was the wedding ring he'd picked for her. Mr. Lynch, trembling, uncovered the body and fainted from the shock of seeing his daughter's mutilated form. Awakening, he cried, "Anita, my daughter!" This vibrant, 26-year-old endured unimaginable pain before her life ended that horrific night. Even police were stunned by the brutality, vowing to catch the monster and make him pay. Their first step was questioning John again. In the interrogation room, John was frantic, his eyes hollow. Police pressed, "Admit it. You killed Anita." At first, he denied it, but under their relentless pressure, he broke down, sobbing, "Yes, I did it." But getting a confession so easily raised red flags. His unstable state made his words unreliable. Police then spoke to his friends, who all said John deeply loved Anita, even during their separation. They couldn't believe he'd harm her. The coroner's report later debunked the theory. Wounds suggested multiple attackers. Her time of death was estimated between the evening of May 2nd and early morning of May 3rd, when John was at his mom's, ruling him out. Clearly, they'd wrongly targeted an innocent man. Police returned to the field, asking the farmer if he'd heard anything odd on May 2nd night. He recalled hearing a woman scream from the field, but assumed it was a couple arguing, so he ignored it. They confirmed the field was the primary crime scene, but a thorough search yielded no clues. They shifted focus to Blacktown Station, the last place Anita was seen. A female officer dressed like Anita took the 9:12 p.m. train from Sydney, showing passengers her photo, but no one had useful info. Police also found all payphones at Blacktown Station were broken, explaining why she couldn't call home. Based on this, they theorized that around 9:40 p.m. on May 2nd, after disembarking, Anita tried to call her family, but, finding no working phones and no taxis, decided to walk home, likely where she was attacked. They investigated her usual route, but with no surveillance back then. They focused on screening individuals with prior sex crimes or violence records, yet found no breakthroughs. The case hit a dead end until early morning on May 10th, when an officer reviewing recent reports stumbled on a crucial detail. On the night Anita vanished, a boy reported to police that he and his sister witnessed a kidnapping. They heard screams, peeked out, and saw a woman dragged into a dirty white car with gray primer. The boy ran out, but the car sped off. Soon after, a neighbor, Paul, heard about it and, with his girlfriend, searched for the white car, finding it near the field but seeing nothing odd, so they left. A 16-year-old also reported hearing screams around 9:45 p.m. lasting 30 seconds and saw a white car without lights with two men restraining a struggling woman. Police searched the area that night but found nothing. Based on this, they believed the kidnapped woman was likely Anita and launched a citywide hunt for the white car. But as they worked, a new problem arose. At 9 a.m. on May 10, 1986, Rose, a TV host in Australia, shockingly aired Anita's autopsy report live on morning TV, reading gruesome details aloud. He claimed, "After reading this, I'm outraged and the public deserves to know." The broadcast stunned the nation. Police switchboards lit up with calls, people furious about the leak and horrified by the brutality. Worst for police, this public exposure was like poking a hornet's nest, making the case harder to crack. They investigated internally, but couldn't trace the leak. Still, it had an unintended benefit. Australians nationwide offered tips and donated money to help solve the case. The New South Wales Premier offered a 50,000 Australian dollar reward, about $850,000 today, for useful information. On May 10, 1986, Anita's family held her funeral, attended by many mourning her loss. John, who'd falsely confessed, broke down, screaming, "Don't take her! Please don't take her! before being escorted out. After Anita's death, John spiraled, drowning in alcohol, wishing to overdose and join her. His love was clear. His confession was just a cry of grief. The funeral wasn't just a goodbye, but a wake-up call for Australia. Public pressure mounted on police, and luckily, the next day brought a major breakthrough. Reviewing files, they found a car theft report from May 2, 1986, matching a white car linked to the case. This led them to 3 men, John Travers, Michael Murdoch, and Leslie Murphy, all known to police, especially Travers. His backstory screamed textbook criminal, an alcoholic, gambling father who abused his family and used drugs, a mother too weak to raise him. Travers loved torturing animals, even abusing them, and at 18, he'd committed at least 12 sexual assaults, often using knives to threaten women or weak men at stations or public restrooms. His accomplices weren't much better. Murdoch, 18, a loyal thug into drinking, theft, and fights, and Murphy, 22, hot-headed and arrested multiple times for theft. All had records and recently stole a white car, making them prime suspects. Police arrested and interrogated them separately. They avoided mentioning Anita's case, focusing on the theft. Murphy and Murdoch stayed calm, but Travers cracked, blurting, "I didn't slit her throat." This slip-up, since police hadn't mentioned the throat slashing, was a confession. Travers was detained, while Murdoch and Murphy were released, but tailed. On May 22, 1986, Travers, craving cigarettes in jail, asked police to contact his girlfriend Catherine to bring some. Police agreed, recruiting her to wear a wire and gather information. Catherine agreed, meeting Travers, who bragged about the brutal act, even laughing while describing Anita's assault. He admitted that night he, Murdoch, Murphy, and Murphy's brothers, Michael and Gary, were involved. He tried convincing Catherine to destroy evidence, the car, clothes, and weapon, and even planned a jailbreak, suggesting she derail a train into the prison or have Murdoch and Murphy stage a rescue. His arrogance or insanity led to wild schemes. Police had Catherine wire up again, visiting Murdoch, who added more case details. With recordings, police found the weapon, clothes, and white car, then tracked the remaining suspects. Michael, 33, the eldest of 9, had a 25-year sentence for multiple break-ins, escaped prison, and was still at large. Gary, 28, had a personality disorder, seen as a kind worker, but arrested for car theft. With witnesses, evidence, and confessions, police arrested the remaining 4. From Anita's murder to all suspects' arrest, Australian police took just 22 days, a remarkable effort. The case, shocking Australia, was finally solved. Notably, when police raided Gary's place, he was so scared he wet himself. Interrogations, backed by suspect statements, pieced together the crime. On the night of May 2, 1986, 5 drunk men drove around, spotting Anita, a beautiful woman walking alone. Lust took over. They abducted her, dragged her into the car, and sped off. In the cramped vehicle, they assaulted and beat her. Anita fought back, begging, "Please stop. I'm married and on my period." But her pleas only fueled their brutality. Travers pressed a knife to her throat, threatening, "Shut up or I'll kill you." They used her money for gas, driving to the southern field, dragging her, barely alive, over a barbed wire fence, throwing her down to continue the torment. Just then, a car approached, Paul and his girlfriend shining flashlights. The gang lay flat, muffling Anita, so close to rescue, yet the dark hit her. They missed their chance, and some argue, even if they'd seen her, they might have been killed too. The assault lasted at least an hour until Murdoch, sobering up, feared exposure. "She's seen our faces and heard our names. She can't live," he said, and all agreed, though none wanted to act first. Travers finally slit her throat. Afterward, they fled, burning their clothes, though Travers kept jeans as a trophy, a mistake that became key evidence. On June 16, 1987, the trial, dubbed the trial of the century by media, began. The five were escorted to court amid public fury, with crowds outside holding signs and effigies demanding the death penalty. They faced over 50 charges: kidnapping, theft, assault, sexual attack, and murder, but tried shifting blame, especially on Travers. Murdoch's lawyer argued media coverage biased the jury, seeking a delay, while Gary's claimed his low IQ meant he couldn't discern right from wrong, but with irrefutable evidence, their defenses failed. On June 10, 1987, after 54 days, all five were convicted of rape and murder. On June 16th, the New South Wales Supreme Court sentenced them to life without parole, the harshest penalty in Australia since the death penalty was abolished. Judge Maxwell called it one of the most horrific sexual attacks he'd seen, and the prosecutor labeled it one of the most brutal murders in the state's history. Though justice was served, Anita's family's nightmare lingered. John sank into grief and addiction, his life shattered. Time eventually healed some wounds. John remarried, had kids, and changed his name to escape the past. With his son's help, he reclaimed his old name and faced his pain. Anita's parents never fully recovered, turning their grief into action by founding the Homicide Victims Support Group with another victim's family, offering counseling and aid. This group later partnered with the government, raising 9.4 million Australian dollars, over $15 billion today, to build the Cobby Center, supporting kids, teens, and families of murder victims with warmth and hope. The five avoided execution but faced endless torment in prison. Travers, moved between jails, plotted an escape in 1996 with another inmate using a saw, but failed and faced tighter watch. Murdoch died of liver cancer on May 21, 2019. Gary was brutally beaten in prison over Anita's case, suffering a critical head injury on June 25, 2019, in the prison workshop. The other two faced stigma, living miserable lives, perhaps the truest punishment. Anita Cobby's case rocked Australia, inspiring true crime documentaries and leaving a mark on film and TV. To honor her, authorities named a park in Blacktown after her, ensuring her memory lives on. Let's hope tragedies like this never happen again. That's it for today's video. See you in the next one. Bye.